The movie opens with a powerful villain attacking wizards. Newspaper clippings reveal him as a dangerous wizard, causing fear and distrust in the wizarding world. Meanwhile, a magical creature zoologist arrives at Ellis Island in New York. A mysterious creature moves in his suitcase, catching the attention of customs. He discreetly activates a switch on his suitcase to avoid suspicion and is allowed entry. Elsewhere in the city, an unknown creature causes chaos, demolishing a building with its strength. The zoologist notices a crowd gathered around a woman warning about this creature. She's a conspiracy theorist who believes in the existence of witches and wizards among us. One of the creatures from the zoologist's suitcase escapes and is drawn to a bank filled with coins. He follows it inside, sitting near a baker hoping for a loan. As he tracks the creature, an unnoticed egg falls from his suitcase onto the bench. The baker, oblivious, picks up the egg and tucks it away. Later, at the bank, the baker shows his baked goods to secure a loan for his bakery. Unbeknownst to him, the egg in his pocket begins to hatch during his meeting with the banker. Despite his efforts, he struggles to convince the banker to approve his proposal. Meanwhile, the creature hops onto a cart filled with coins and disappears into an elevator. The bewildered baker leaves the office with the hatching egg and informs the zoologist. Quickly, the zoologist uses his wand to teleport them into a secluded staircase where a small creature emerges from the egg. The baker is amazed by what he sees. Spotting the creature entering a vault, the zoologist opens it with magic, only to be caught by the banker who mistakes them for robbers. The zoologist subdues the banker with a spell, and they escape with the creature. Outside, the panicked baker mistakenly takes the zoologist's suitcase. A policewoman from the magical law enforcement agency apprehends the zoologist for illegal possession and release of magical creatures, taking him to the station for processing. Meanwhile, concerned about the creature attacks, the president meets with the security director, stressing the need to capture the creature to prevent exposure of the wizarding community to humans. Unbeknownst to them, the policewoman and her superiors are actually the ones who arrested the zoologist. The president, displeased, reprimands her, revealing her demotion from detective and lack of authority. Meanwhile, they open the suitcase and find it filled with baked goods. The baker returns home to his apartment and is startled by noises from the suitcase he mistakenly took. Upon opening it, he inadvertently releases the creatures inside. Across town, the earlier conspiracist feeds street children while her son helps distribute leaflets warning about witches. The policewoman and zoologist trace the baker's address and find his apartment building wrecked. Hurriedly, they use magic to repair the building and modify people's memories, but the creatures are already gone. The conspiracist visits a prominent newspaper office, meeting with the owner and his senator son, trying unsuccessfully to convince them of the existence of witches and suggesting they run a story. Later, the policewoman takes the baker and zoologist to her apartment shared with her sister, a witch with mind-reading abilities. The baker and the sister feel an immediate attraction, but laws forbid relationships between magical and non-magical people in the US. In a dim train station, the conspiracist's son meets secretly with the director, who tasks him with locating a powerful child he saw in a vision, connected to the conspiracist, and gaining the child's trust. If successful, the son will fulfill his dream of becoming a full-fledged wizard. Back at the policewoman's apartment, the group enjoys a hearty meal, and she graciously lets the zoologist and baker stay overnight. Later that night, the zoologist reveals his enchanted suitcase, which holds an entire world of magical creatures. The baker is amazed as they venture inside, where the zoologist introduces him to a large bird-like creature he rescued from trafficking in Egypt. He explains that his mission in the US is to return the bird to its homeland, and all creatures in the suitcase are endangered or rescued. His goal is to protect and educate the wizarding world about them. Afterwards, they set out to round up the escaped creatures roaming the city. Meanwhile, the son returns home and faces his strict and distant mother, who punishes him for being out late. The zoologist and baker manage to capture one creature in a jewelry store, but human police arrive, forcing them to flee. They then find another creature at the zoo, where the zoologist performs a mating dance to lure a magical, rhinoceros-like creature back into the suitcase. On the same night, the senator delivers a speech to his supporters. Suddenly, the city plunges into darkness as a sinister force attacks and kills the senator. His father, the newspaper owner, is devastated, while his other son starts believing the conspiracist's claims about witches causing the attacks. The president and leaders of wizarding societies gather to address the magical assaults. The policewoman arrives and explains that the zoologist smuggled creatures into America, some of which escaped. Opening the suitcase, she presents the zoologist and baker. The zoologist spots a hologram of the senator's body with strange marks, identifying them as the work of a creature that preys on magically gifted children, consuming them. Concluding one of the zoologist's creatures is responsible, the president orders their arrest. Shortly after, the trio is thrown into jail. The zoologist reveals that the dark entity manifests in persecuted children who suppress their powers and don't live past age 10. He recounts encountering an 8-year-old girl possessed by this entity months ago. Later, the zoologist is interrogated by the director, accused of inciting conflict between wizarding and human worlds, given his criminal record and the dark entity found in his suitcase. The zoologist explains that he captured the entity from the afflicted 8-year-old to study it, but despite his explanation, both he and the policewoman are sentenced to death. They are taken to an execution room that uses people's memories to lure them to their demise. The policewoman is first forced to relive memories of the conspiracist and her son. Meanwhile, sensing her sister's distress, the policewoman's sister stops the baker from being brainwashed and recruits his help in rescuing them from jail. During their escape, they retrieve the zoologist's suitcase. The conspiracist's son meets with the director again, receiving a pin to use when he finds the targeted child they seek. The group reunites, deciding to capture the last missing creature to clear their names of the attacks. They visit a speakeasy to find the policewoman's goblin informant, experienced with magical creatures. While waiting, the zoologist asks the policewoman how she knows the conspiracist and her son, given her memories played during the botched execution. She reveals her past assignment investigating the conspiracist group, discovering the abuse inflicted by the conspiracist on her adopted children, including her son. Enraged, the policewoman confronts the conspiracist, leading to chaos that forces the erasure of dozens of memories and costs her job. Finally, the goblin arrives and demands a creature from the zoologist in exchange for information on the last escaped creature's whereabouts. Reluctantly, the zoologist agrees, and the goblin reveals the creature's location. However, it's soon revealed the goblin betrayed them, tipping off the authorities who corner the group at the speakeasy. They narrowly escape. Meanwhile, the son discovers a wand under his sister's bed. When the conspiracist sees him with it, she moves to punish him, but the dark entity suddenly appears, killing her and another daughter instantly. The group locates the last escaped creature in a department store and safely returns it to the suitcase. Summoned by the conspiracist's son's pin, the director arrives at their home to find the bodies. He comforts the grieving son, assuming his remaining sister is the one afflicted by the entity. The son leads the director to an abandoned apartment where his sister lived before adoption. Before entering, the director cruelly informs him he has magical ancestry, but no powers. In defiance, the son reveals his own magic, revealing he's actually the one afflicted by the entity, not his sister. It's uncommon for an afflicted child to survive past 10, but the son's potent magic sustains the entity. He fully transforms into the monstrous form, causing widespread destruction. Witnessing the chaos, the zoologist resolves to save him. He finds the son hiding in a subway tunnel, attempting to comfort him. However, the director arrives and attacks the zoologist with spells. The entity's rampage grows so immense that even humans notice the strange occurrences. While the zoologist and director clash, the policewoman tries to calm the son back to his human form. The president and magical law enforcement teams arrive, battling the son until they finally destroy the entity. Enraged by losing control, the director chastises wizards for hiding their true abilities from humans. Believing wizards superior, he then attacks with his wand. One of the zoologist's creatures subdues the director, revealing him as the true villain terrorizing the wizarding world. He posed as the director to spark war between wizards and humans. They subsequently arrest the villain. However, the wizards have already been exposed to humans. Fortunately, the bird-like creature in the zoologist's suitcase disperses a memory-erasing potion across the city. Wizards repair the damage from the fight, and the secret of the wizarding world is preserved once more. Before his memories are erased, the policewoman's sister bids a heartfelt goodbye to the baker. The zoologist gifts the baker valuable eggshells to help him open his bakery. The policewoman is reinstated to her old job and bids farewell to the zoologist, who is returning to England. He promises to return with a copy of the book he's writing and a traditional gesture of thanks. The movie concludes with the baker successfully opening his bakery. His pastries, inspired by the zoologist's magical beasts, hint that he retains memories buried deep within, despite the potion's effects. Finally, the policewoman's sister enters his bakery, sharing a meaningful smile. Initially confused, the baker senses a familiarity between them.